Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand? He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask. Yep. 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades. The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that, your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task. You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over, but an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another. Your deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the Promised Land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back. Go on your way, Seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?" You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. "You know these girls?" they demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash, sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant
Low
song.
tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a receding sea. In the darkness, the sand seems coarse and gray, alien. The stars are dim and distant. It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly-colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm, though you know that, given the distance, it must be moving at great speed. And there, near the water's edge, a human figure. They stand there, transfixed by the light. 1, 2, 3 steps, ankles lowering into the surf. Silent collapse into a black wave, bathed in a nameless color. Then, nothing. Clouds roll together to fill the sky. You shelter beneath a rocky overhang. Above, the clouds turn gray and purple and blue. Lightning arcs between them. The hairs on the back of your arms stand on end. The lightning is so strong that it seems to open a path in the haze above you. You are sure you see massive talons curved around the clouds. The thunder is so immense that the ground trembles. Your lips and hands tingle from the electric charge that fills the air until the dancing lightning passes on over the hills. The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke. The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis, a confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes. You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench. You may. Lovely outside, isn't it? Her eyes are a beautiful shaded brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat. Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris. The man is the color of mill dust. His smile creases his face like folds in dough. He gestures you inside the dilapidated structure and shouts over the sound of driving wheels. You're welcome to sleep here. You don't want to rest by the river. Not in the evening. Insects. Man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the powder kicked up by your entrance. You realize how easy it would be to drift off on this pile of sacks to the loud but constant sound of the grinding wheels. Pain sears your spine. Why did you sleep at this ridiculous angle? Your back complains from being draped over the millstone. It's good the mill is totally abandoned. Its works long ago disconnected, or your legs would have been pulverized. The man is gone. This is not a place to linger. By nightfall, the hospitality of this sleepy hamlet, combined with their superstitious tales, has both overstuffed your stomach and filled you with a hollow dread. Folks say these woods are full of apparitions, witches, and worse. You curse yourself for getting on the road so late. In the moonlight, every valley and hollow at the feet of the Tappan Zee seems like a stolen shred of the abyss itself. Fireside tales seem less fanciful, and every cackling crow and moaning whippoorwill seems like a demon perched on the shivering, spindly trees. But something cuts through the noise. The muffled sound of hooves galloping on the cold, muddy road. When he finally slows his horse alongside you, it's as though he had just appeared out of the mist. He's astride a gigantic black courser, and though his boots are muddy and ragged, he wears an immaculate coat with great, shining buttons. From his saddle hangs an antiquated flintlock and a cavalry saber. In the darkness, you can hardly see above his towering shoulders. His voice is a rumbling croak, deep, but as though his throat is filled with thorns. Have you happened upon a cannonball around here? You can tell English isn't his first language. German is. His hand, so pale it's almost blue in the moonlight, grips the reins in a fist. You mumble an apology and watch as he silently rides away, back into the mist. He's cloaked in black, you notice from behind, but the blood running down over his shoulders glints crimson in the moonlight. The car is a lifeline, your one hope to escape the encroaching storm. It rattles along a few yards ahead of the storm front, jouncing and juddering. one pothole away from being swallowed by the choking dust. A figure clings to support straps mounted on the back. You grab the straps and haul yourself up.
Oh,
Shouts the woman on the back.
a fellow observer.
She's wrapped in a scarf and aviation goggles, juggling a pen and a notebook while hanging onto the unsteady car. The dust scours your face and rips at your clothes.
We're not done with our observations.
She threads one arm through the straps and makes another attempt to write, but it comes out illegible.
Blast it. Get inside and take dictation, will you? No, just enthusiastic.
She shoves your head through the open back window, and you tumble inside. Pen and notebook land in your lap.
Ready?
She protests, but lacks the purchase to fight you as you haul her inside the car.
Oh, fine.
She slaps the headrest of the driver's seat.
Judith, let's go.
Why, hello there. Look like that's a heavy bag you're carrying. Let me get that for you. I insist. You see this uniform? It means you can trust me to make sure this is the most comfortable journey you've ever had in your life. Who am I? Well, I'm no George, I'll tell you that. But that's not important. This trip is about you, friend. Know any good tragic tales? I feel in the mood for one of those right now. That's a tall one. Don't pull my leg, okay? Home is where we go back to. It's where we belong. But there's nothing wrong with spending a little time in the rest of the world every now and again. Tell me something that'll make me laugh. I could use a chuckle. That's a tall one. Don't pull my leg, okay? Authority. Hopefully people who ride in a Pullman car feel a little of that. It's about more than a train ride. And not everyone knows what it's like to be the boss, to know what it feels like to be skillfully served. Pullman porters give you a taste, so boss George Pullman will know you'll be back for more. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them? Might not be telling that one to the boys, actually. The sadness. No sadness here. When you ride on one of Mr. George Pullman's sleeping cars, you leave your sadness behind. I can personally assure you of that. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me? not sure my brothers will find that one particularly scary. Yeah, I got a few miles on me, but I don't think I'll be hearing that phantom train anytime soon. Doesn't mean I don't make sure to always listen, just in case. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. So, does that one scare you? Not sure about me. Traps? Imprisonment? Well, there's a difference between a train you have to ride and a train you get to ride. We porters want that difference to be us. Another night over, and I have places to be. Next, I'm headed down the rails this way. A porter's life is one of constant movement. I hope your trip is smooth and enjoyable. Have you considered traveling by train? Perhaps we'll meet again, on a train or at one of my stops. There's still more I could share with you about the porter's life.